I'm here.
Rich Viscay,
I am here.
Don Chiaramella,
Here.
Nick Rystrom, I don't think I see. Mayor Keefe,
And Nick Rystrom and Chris Charmella should be joining. They're together in the office. So
okay.
Okay.
Tom Skorowski,
Present.
John Stamatopoulos,
Present.
Councilor Cogliandro, I don't believe is here. Don Martelli,
here.
thank you. Joshua Miranda. Chris Chiaramella.
Here.
Thank you, Chris. And just going back real quick, I don't think Susan joined us, and Nick Rystrom, just checking if he joined yet. No, okay.
Yeah, no, Nick
He's-
did join. He's here.
He's here.
Okay,
Here.
I'll mark you present, Nick. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. So, let me just get control of my screen here. Share. So we have a handful of quick updates tonight leading towards the approval. Let me just make sure this is my screen sharing. Nope. Couple of quick housekeeping items, then we'll go through a few quick updates on the 60% CD phase permitting, and we'll end the evening on the presentation of Consigli's Contract Amendment 4 to award the site demolition. So first order of business out of the gate, approval of meeting minutes from March 26th. Any comments? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve March 26 meeting minutes.
Second.
Sounds good. Roll call. Mike Picardi,
Yes.
Stacy Rizzo,
Yes.
Susan, I believe, is still absent. Dr. Kelly,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Christopher Bowen,
Yes.
Rich Viscay,
Yes.
Don Chiaramella.
It says I wasn't, I was absent for that meeting, but I think I was present. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna double check that, and I'll make the adjustment. Let me just make a note. Nick Rystrom,
Yes.
Mayor Keefe,
Yes.
Tom Skorowski,
Yes.
John Stamatopoulos,
Yes.
Councilor Cogliandro, I have as absent. Don Martelli,
Yes.
Joshua Miranda, I think absent still. Chris Chiaramella.
Yes.
Sounds good. Motion passes. Same deal, meeting minutes of April 10th. If there are no questions, we'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Motion to second.
Tom and Stacy. On the motion for April 10th meeting minutes, Michael Picardi,
Yes.
Stacy Rizzo,
Abstain.
Susan is absent. Dr. Kelly,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Christopher Bowen,
Yes.
Rich Viscay,
Yes.
Don Chiaramella,
Yes.
Nick Rystrom,
Yes.
Mayor Keefe,
Yes.
Tom Skorowski,
Yes.
John Stamatopoulos,
Yes.
Councilor Cogliandro is absent. Don Martelli,
Yes.
Joshua Miranda, I have as absent. Chris Chiaramella.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we'll take a quick look at the invoice summary. High level here, I just wanted to remind folks the out of phase meeting we had a number of weeks ago approved these two items, the National Grid back charge and the passive house registration. Those are just here for record. We do not need motions for them. And just as a quick check in the budget remains stable. Everything remains on budget. As I've told you before, if you want to see the immediate sort of health of the project, you can go all the way down to the bottom right, this variance line. We're still just showing to be under budget by the amount that was not expended during the feasibility study. And just to move around here a bit, let me get control of this. You will start to see here in this construction section that we're breaking out the items that were already awarded after tonight's presentation and approval of Amendment 4. This construction section will continue to get bigger as we award various trades here and get going. So normally, the invoices you're going to look at again are just up at the left field line. We are in the construction document phase, billing to 10% completion of that phase. And Perkins Eastman is going to be billing to about 5% completion of that phase. And we have a pre-construction bill from Consigli. So still not a lot of action in the budget, but in the coming months, as we get into demo and construction, we'll have a little more to monitor in there. Again, right now, everything is on budget. Any general budget questions? If not, we'll start with a motion to approve the left field invoice 49 that's circled on the screen.
Brian, I got a quick budget question.
Yep.
Maybe we can talk about it after, but I just want to touch upon any modifications on timelines for construction as far as cash flow goes for borrowing purposes.
Yep. Right now, I believe that last cash flow that you and I have been working from is still accurate, but I can spend a few minutes with it in the morning just to make sure. I don't think anything has changed on the construction time flow that would really affect the cash flow, Rich, but it's always good to take another look at that. So I'll run through it in the morning and get in touch with you if I think anything in there needs to change.
Right, because we're preparing for a big borrowing, and I can certainly fill in the group at this meeting or the next meeting, but just want to coordinate the cash flow with you.
Yep, will do. It's always good to keep an eye on that.
No other questions. I make a motion to accept invoice 49 for Left Field LLC for total invoice of $496,069.
Second.
Got it. Roll call. Mike Picardi,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Susan, I still have as absent. Dr. Kelly,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Christopher Bowen,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Mayor Keefe,
Yes.
Tom Skorowski,
Yes.
John Stamatopoulos. John, I didn't hear you.
Did you hear me? Yes.
Yep, got it. Councilor Cogliando is absent. Don Martelli.
Yes.
Josh Miranda is absent. Chris Chiaramella.
Yes.
Thank you. Next down the line, the Perkins Eastman invoice 8797.01.09 in the amount of $847,983.19.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mike Picardi,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Susan is absent. Dr. Kelly,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Christopher Bowen,
Yes.
Rich Viscay.
Yes.
Thank you. Don Chiaramella,
Yes.
Nick Rystrom,
Yes.
Mayor Keefe,
Yes.
Tom Skorowski,
Yes.
John Stamatopoulos,
Yes.
Councilor Cogliando is absent. Don Martelli,
Yes.
Josh Miranda is absent. Chris Chiaramella.
Yes.
Thank you. One more invoice, Consigli Construction Company pre-construction services invoice 27 in the amount of $27,000.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mike Picardi,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Susan is absent, Dr. Kelly,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Christopher Bowen,
Yes.
Rich Viscay,
Yes.
Don Chiramella,
Yes.
Nick Rystrom,
Yes.
Mayor Keefe,
Yes.
Tom Skorowski,
Yes.
John Stamatopoulos. John, I didn't hear you.
Yes.
And sorry, my dog's barking. Councilor Cogliandro is absent. Don Martelli,
Yes.
Josh Miranda is absent. Chris Chiramella.
Yes.
Thank you. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to yell at my dogs. All right. I doubt that'll work, but it was worth a try. All right. So moving on to just a couple high level updates before we talk a little bit more about the phase 1 site demolition. In terms of MSBA process, we have submitted the design development package. They have issued comments. We've responded to those comments. Nothing impactful there. High level, we're still on the same track with MSBA that we really won't see a lot of action with them issuing a final project funding agreement until we complete MIPA. We still expect to complete MIPA in August. So by September or October, we anticipate funding flowing back to the city of Revere. There's already a whole lot of reimbursable costs that have been expended over the last year. It's something that Rich and I have talked about, but Rich, that's one item that I'll double check in the cash flow, but I think right now we're assuming Revere will see money coming back by October, maybe November. But that's a good item to check in the cash flow. In terms of permitting,
Brian, sorry, Brian, can I ask
Sure.
a question on that before we go on? Did
absolutely.
we ever get a formal response back from MSBA when we appealed to them to allow review of billing and documents to begin now instead of waiting?
We did not. I've checked in with the staff for the project, not Mary or Mike McGurl or anybody, and haven't heard anything official back. I honestly feel like at this point we'll probably be ready to go before we really hear anything there.
Well, would it be helpful if the mayor and I draft a letter or something, or try to reach out again and just get some kind of a commitment?
Yeah, I think even just a prod of, to the higher ups over there of, we haven't really heard back. Has anything developed? That won't hurt.
Okay, I'll speak to him about that this week.
Excellent. So where we are in permitting here, everything's still going well. We're still overall on schedule. It's tight as it's always been, but we did get the MIPA draft environmental impact certificate issued. That middle step of MIPA is done. Those documents, as we've talked about before, always come with all sorts of comments, all sorts of questions. The vehicle for the project to respond to those questions is the final environmental impact report, which is that third MIPA step we've always talked about. We're still on track to get that submitted by July and approved in August. So everything in the MIPA world is still moving forward. We have, in terms of local permitting, we'll have a site walk most likely on May 31st with the Revere Conservation Commission. This is sort of the last informal step before proceeding with phase 1 site demo. They have already approved and issued approval for phase 1 site demo, but that all caps off with a site walk before we start work. We're also looking to be on the June 4th Conservation Commission meeting with a notice of intent for the full project, for the work that'll happen after phase 1. And we are still, we have secured a temporary access permit with Mass Department of Transportation and are still, as planned, working on final permits for the final design that'll come together over the next few years. So everything's still on track with permitting. We're in the thick of it right now, but all the schedules are holding. a quick look ahead in general, June 6th is the target date for the team to release the 60% estimating documents, 60% construction documents for estimating purposes. So in June, we'll be doing another set of fresh estimates, 2 peer estimates on the building. That'll roll into a July presentation and approval to the committee, and then we'll submit that in July to MSBA. That 60% set is also our first major bid set. We are going to look at the site demo bid numbers tonight, but after that June 6th date, we'll be staggering the release of bid packages for steel, concrete, waterproofing, elevators, and site work. That'll all lead into bidding processes July, August to set up really being ready with the concrete and steel work at the end of phase 1 as we head into this winter. So the real critical path item there is getting steel bid. So don't expect to see those bid results until July, August. The one thing I did wanted to mention to the committee is we probably are going to have 1 or 2 out of phase meetings in that July, August timeframe. For example, once we have the steel ready to award, that might dictate its own meeting to present the steel award and get it done, just so we can stay ahead of lead times and schedule. So we'll coordinate a little bit more, but late July and August, I would say expect that we might be on the couple of meetings per month, not one, schedule for the committee. So otherwise, everything again still on schedule in general to get site demo started in June. Consigli is going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Be out of the permitting process in August and be building the building for real in the following months and leading into winter. So everything remains on schedule. We are also working on getting some of the custom project signs hung down at Wonderland on the fence and behind the fence. Those are in place. Those will be in place by the time we start with phase 1 demo. Any general questions before we sort of jump into the award of demolition work?
Brian, if we can add Susan as being here.
Got it. I'll put a 45.
Sorry, I was so late.
Yep. Not a problem. Excuse me. If there are no general questions, I'm going to share my screen again. And I was going to ask Consigli to sort of walk a little bit through the bidding process, and then a little sort of look forward into what phase 1 is going to look like. But the document you folks received is the summary proposal. And really the biggest takeaway here is we did have a number of bidders, and Consigli's recommending award to a low bidder who ultimately, for this demo scope that we're bidding, is just shy of $249,000 under the budget. So compared to the whole amount of work that we have to bid, this is a tiny value, but it is under budget, which is good news. High level, that money is just going to, we are under budget for this portion. It doesn't yet mean that the construction costs will come down. We really need to wait through the 60% estimates, bidding more of this job out to determine if the job as a whole, as an aggregate after all the bidding, is under or over. But at least for the scope that we're looking at to approve tonight, we are $249,000 under. Theoretically, that money is contingency within the rest of the construction costs that'll be estimated and awarded over the next number of months. I'm not sure, Consigli, where you wanted to sort of go from here. Just let me know what you want on the screen. But if you could give the committee just a little update of this bidding process and what to expect in phase 1, that'd be great.
Yeah, Brian, we were hoping to go to the logistics sheet so we can kind of give you a visual walkthrough.
Yep. Just gonna go through
It's like
this
page
document.
20. Yep.
Perfect.
So on the screen, you can see the logistics plan, and really I'll try to describe it. There's some color coding going on here. What was approved in the fall for pre-GMP 1 is the red site fence that you see that runs along VFW Parkway that was installed and currently is installed. As we move forward into this package and what's included in part of this pre-GMP number 2 is first off the remainder of fencing in the site, we'll call it, although for the most part, we're talking about the rear boundaries and including the purple line that you kind of see going across there, which as everybody I'm sure is aware, represents the 200-foot buffer zone for the Eastern County ditch. So for the MEPA waiver that we got to proceed with this work, that's the limit of what we're allowed to work in. We cannot exceed that buffer zone. Additionally, as part of this scope, as part of the MEPA waiver, we're allowed to do limited site work. So we have a limited disturbed area that we're allowed to touch. As part of that, we start with getting the fencing and the erosion control in place, which is what will occur for the most part during the month of June. However, then we get to move into some of the real work, which is removal of the existing foundations from the racetrack grandstands, as well as starting to get some of the existing utilities out of the way of the building. We're a little bit limited in terms of what work we can do there, but getting those utilities out of the way and getting the foundations out of the way, at least outside of the buffer zone, allows us to be productive over the summer and allows us to be ready to really hit the ground running when we get our full MEPA approval at the end of the summer. And at that point, we'll have bid out and be ready to proceed with the rest of the site work, including the remainder of those utilities and getting into the building foundations. So really that's the summary, and that's what we're recommending award for right now. And approval is the work that'll happen over the months of June, July, and August.
Thank
Brian?
you, Jason.
Brian, I got a few questions.
Yep.
If I'm looking at that purple buffer zone, am I not seeing the high school overlay right over that whole border? Am I missing something here?
Nope, you are.
Correct.
So that's this outline, this new white shape here is the high school. And anything beyond the purple line, we cannot work in, but yes, the building is built within the 200-foot setback.
But how is it built in that if it's exceeding that border?
Well, this border is just for phase 1. So until we get the final MEPA certificate in August, they're only allowing us to work on this part of the site. And that's really because until they approve the full project, the Eastern County ditch being the sort of more important thing here, we won't have permission to take over this whole backside of the site and build the rest of the building till we're done with MEPA.
Is there any chance that they would say that that purple line is the line that we gotta stay within?
I think no. I 0% chance on that. No.
Okay.
Quick question as well. I'm sorry, Rich.
No, that was my second question was answered with the first one, so I'm good.
Yep.
So you guys can go out there and start demo. Do you believe you have 3 months of work out there? And what happens if the MEPA review gets pushed back? They're gonna have to like remobilize and everything. What's the work before they get the approval for the whole site, and then they're just sitting there?
So I'll answer the second part of that. The first, do you think there's 2-3 months worth of work, Jason? I'll defer to you. But the second part of that is, we really do need to complete the MEPA process as planned and on schedule to have an even roll of the schedule here. If somehow that final MEPA approval gets pushed back, we would be putting Consigli in the position of having to stop. We wouldn't probably have time to go through another submission cycle with MEPA, a resubmission cycle of the last FEIR. It would mean we can't start work this winter, which would roll into most likely impact to the rest of the schedule. So it is extremely important that we get the MEPA certificate as planned and on time. I know we and the team are doing everything we can to do that, and we remain confident that that's going to work. But if somehow we do commence with site demo and don't secure final MEPA approval on schedule, there would be impact to the rest of this project schedule that would probably ripple all the way into not moving in at the same time.
But Brian, I think it's important to mention here that the mayor did orchestrate a meeting with higher ups in the governor's office and MIPA, and we don't anticipate that there's going to be a slide from our
Agreed.
MIPA approval. So
I agree. And
it's
even in
some
detail, that,
significant event in order to cause this to go off schedule.
yep, I agree. And we have commitments. They understand. MIPA understands everything I just explained.
You all have me pushing so much weight around. I feel strong.
I'm sorry, I might have come off mute there back, but they understand our schedule. They have said they're going to honor their review dates. The FEIR, the final submission by statute, cannot be extended, the comment period. So we know we'll have it in by their deadline, and they are bound by statute to get it reviewed within their deadlines. So we are relying on everybody doing their work, us getting the submission in and them doing their work. But we feel we have the assurances that that's all going to happen.
Brian, what is the greatest environmental risk we have that would delay it?
I think probably, let's see that. That's kind of a tough question to answer. I think there's nothing in the first two submissions for MIPA that I think should arise to anything being delayed. And I think an important note is there's been a lot of questions about why the site was designed the way it is, but none of the MIPA submissions to date have challenged how the site's designed. I can't even envision them coming up with a suggestion about something to change. Nothing has really, they haven't asked us to change anything. They think the design has been compliant with the requirements so far. So really it would have to come out of left field at this point, and I should probably pick a different phrase there, but it would really have to come out of left field for something to come up at this point for MIPA to want the design to even be changed, let alone object to it as a whole. They've now seen this for 8-9 months of various submissions, and they know where the building's going, they know the schedule, they know the design. So I'm not specifically answering your question, Rich, because I'm not sure I can think of something that would give them a reason to want a mass change. They would have sort of had to show those cards by now.
Now, I was just wondering what the environmental risk is that's so important that this whole process takes so long. I'm just not familiar with the process or the landmines, I guess.
Yep. A lot of the specifics revolve around some of the things we've talked about. Is this site tidally influenced? Is it part of inland waterways or ocean waterways? So really, the complexity of permitting this site is its proximity to the ocean and the presence of the Easton County ditch. So a lot of our discussion has been, what does that ditch do? And all of our findings show that that ditch discharges fresh stormwater, fresh water, not salt water, out to the marsh. It does not really bring saltwater tides into this area. And those little things make a whole lot of difference in state environmental permitting.
Yeah, that was kind of more what I was thinking. All right, thanks, Brian.
You're welcome.
And did you still want to address the question of the 3-month duration?
Thank you, Jason. Yep.
It's just for visual reference, skip forward to the last page, 23 there. And I'll give you a little bit of color around the schedule. We have it planned as 12 weeks of work. Could it be done in 10? Probably, but I will give some details in terms of, you know, the thousands of yards of concrete that we're going to take out of there. Over 1,000 yards of contaminated soil, which we've been approved to get out, which is a key step to, you know, starting with a clean site. And additionally, there's something like 27,000 linear feet of track heating pipe from when the dog track was there. That will be taken out as well. That's all been tested, come back clean. So that's all incorporated into the demolition scope. As well as one detail I wanted to mention, which is important. I think recently we've noticed, you know, the encampments out on the site with this phase, consigliere will take over the site, will take ownership of the site. It'll be secured. The site will be cleared and grubbed, and it'll be secure as well.
Thank you, Jason.
Yep.
Brian, a question on the fencing. Are we gonna, Are we able to fence and hay bale the entire site or just up to that purple line?
Up to the purple line on the back and then all the way around the front. So it is one big enclosed island, but unfortunately we can't do anything at all in this shaded white area, but there will be silt control and bales all along the purple line and the front red lines.
Okay, so the fence that runs along the MBTA, the purple line, the commuter rail, that supposedly keeps people off those tracks. Who's responsible for that fence? Is that considered our property line?
To my knowledge, that's MBTA property. I have a feeling we're going to ultimately be sort of transitioning into it, or we might even run our own fence. I think probably we'll run our own fence inbound of it, but I can double check that, Carl, but I believe that's MBTA's fence along the tracks.
Yeah, Brian, it's MBTA. They're removing the sign currently on the other side of the tracks.
Thanks, Chris.
What are they removing?
The fence on the other side has come down into the culvert, and they're currently pulling it out.
Are they gonna replace it?
They have yet to address that. They want to get it. I told them to hurry up and get it out first because it's clogging up the whole channel.
Right. So just to be clear, there's nothing that stops anybody, a kid from Dunn Road neighborhood or anything like that, to come down Dunn Road, enter our site, go clearly onto those train tracks as of right now.
No, they cannot do that.
They can't do that.
No.
Okay. I'd like to double check on that. If we could.
I'll get down in there. Nick, maybe you and I can just do a quick walk down there. I understand your point though, Carl. We'll make sure, because a little bit, I mean, in a way, if some people do come walking through this site, if people already do, they are eventually going to encounter this fence. So,
Yeah, John Lamar here. The
go
intent
ahead, John.
would be phase 2 fencing, as we've been referring to it, would then get put in once that zone is turned over to us. I drove it and walked it a couple of weeks ago. There are a lot of breaches in the existing fence right now. See, I think to your point, Carl, and the intent is once they allow us to cross that purple line, temporary fencing will be put in along that line, back by the MBTA tracks.
Okay. The essence of public safety, I would take a close look at that. That purple line fence as it is now is in deplorable condition, and as far as I can tell, that a kid or anybody who wants to could walk from our site right onto those tracks. Take a double look myself.
Yep, I'll take a look. We have some contacts at MBTA too. I'll work through you, Chris. But we can bug some people if we need them to get their part of it in order. But as John said, once we have permission, we'll do whatever we need to do to secure it. But right now the project can't really get back in there. Thank you, Carl. Any other questions? I'm going to look around for hands. One sec. All right. I just wanted to script a motion if there are no other questions, but I lost where the value is on my screen. 1 second. Okay, let me just write a number down. 3, 4, 5, 7. Just making sure I'm getting the number I'm about to say correct, because I closed a window that I had it open. 3065057. Okay. So if there are no other questions, we would be seeking a motion to approve consigley contract amendment number 4 in the total amount of $3,065,057 to award site demolition.
So moved.
I think I heard motion by the mayor and second by Stacy Rizzo.
Yep.
Brian, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Who was the low bidder? What company was it?
It's French, correct?
Yes.
Yep. WL French. I forget there.
Mhm.
Oh, French. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Any other questions on the motion? If not, we'll go down a roll call. Michael Picardi,
Yes.
Stacy Rizzo,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Dr. Kelly,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Chris Bowen,
Yes.
Rich Viscay,
Yes.
Don Chiramella,
Yes.
Nick Rystrom,
Yes.
Mayor Keefe.
Yeah.
Got it. Tom Skorowski,
Yes.
John Stamatopoulos, didn't hear you, John.
Yes, yes.
Got it. Councilor Cogliano is absent. Don Martelli,
Yes.
Josh Miranda is absent. Chris Chiramella.
Yes.
Excellent. The motion passes. Thank you. That's all. Let me just confirm. I think that's all we have for tonight. Gone through items 4, 5, 6. I will check if there's any public comment. Name and address for the record. If there is any public comment, going once. Going twice. No public comment. Any new business from the committee?
Yeah, Brian, I'll take up some new business.
Sure.
So I just wanted to let the committee know, and I'll give further details when I get it, but the city's preparing to sell $75 million worth of temporary bonds. As we've floated about as much cash flow as we could up to this point, we're required to have all of our deficits covered by June 30th, and we're definitely in a deficit. We haven't borrowed any money for construction yet. So the intent is to borrow $75 million. That should carry us through fiscal year 25 and through fiscal year 26. So that's where these cash flows become important, because once we hit 75 million, we have to go back and get some more money, and we got to structure the bonds accordingly. So not urgent, but I think cash flow and bonding should almost be standing items on these agendas going forward, just so we can keep our eyes on the cash flow and the change in environments and delays and all that, because it's going to be a big ticket finance item once these bonds start getting sold.
Got it, Rich. I'll include that, and maybe as we do the monthly, here's the budget, here are the invoices, we'll do I'll just add that to that agenda item moving forward, so we can touch base on borrowing, bonding, etc.
Yeah, and then just regard to the budget that we voted earlier when we approved the invoices, I noticed there was like invoice number, invoice date, cost code, value. I'd like to kind of see on those cost codes, if they have dollar amounts attributable to them, I'd like to see the percentage of the budget spent when we put those slides up, so we can just know if we're in the beginning phases, middle phases. So I don't know if that's a spreadsheet that MSBA gives you, or in left field spreadsheet, but just like to kind of see percentage of budgets spent in these line items, and so we can all just kind of keep abreast of that.
Yep, that's easy for us to do. I'll incorporate that into it.
All right, thank you.
Any other new business from the committee? If not, we'd seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.